opening up vistas in our universe that we have never opened before. And you are capable of doing that in as much as anyone else is capable of doing it. And so we really need to understand it begins with divine abundance is mine now. Say to yourself, divine abundance is mine now. Yeah. Now, be a little bit more convincing about that. You can't say, divine abundance is mine now. You know, you might just fall asleep. And then the divine abundance comes along, knocks you in your head, you didn't even know what hit you. Let's say it like we mean it. Divine abundance is mine now. I want you to remember what William James says. You must be enthusiastic about what it is you want to change in your life. If you're not convinced, who is going to be convinced? It will start with you. It must start with you. It doesn't matter where you've been before. It's where you are right now in this moment. This moment is the only creative window into the universe that you have. You can't go back and recreate the past, and you can't create the future. You can only create in the present moment. And in this present moment, yes, you can see what it is that you want in the future, and you start right here. And that Lao Tzu says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And so the moment you step into claiming what it is you want in your life, divine abundance, is the moment you begin to feel it. You must feel it. If you don't feel it, you're not going to have it. You must feel it. The second thing is focus on what you have right now. Many people fall in the trap of being unhappy about what they do not have. Have you ever had that experience? Just kind of shake your head so nobody will see that you're doing that. Now, this is what, in the science of mind, we would consider unproductive thinking. Unproductive thinking. You're not thinking productively. You're spending your time thinking about what you don't have. When you spend your time thinking about what you don't have, you're affirming that I can't have what I don't have. Do you see that? I will not have what I don't have. Poor me. You have labeled yourself to be somebody that you don't want to be. And then you may turn around and begin to blame other people for your affair. It begins with you. It doesn't matter who has kept you down so far. What matters is who is going to pick you up right here and now. And you're the only one who can do that. The people who have been bad to you are not going to suddenly rush around and genuflect and make the sign of the cross and say, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, please forgive me. They're not going to do that. What you need to do is forgive all the noises in your head that are negative. Let them be purged. Let them move out from you because you don't need them. So what you want to do is focus on the gift of gratitude. Focus on what you have right now. The present moment is that window of creativity. So you can say to yourself, the present moment is the only creative window I have in time. You're affirming that. You're knowing that. You're setting it up so that you're going to do something. And then you can remember Psalm 118:24, where it says, this is the day which the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. We're not going to be sorrowful. We're not be regretful. We're not going to waste our time thinking about what we missed. We're going to miss few things in life as we go along. It's all right. What you are going to do with this moment is what is important. Now, I wrote a little blog that most of you got in your founders, what is it we call it? That founders. Huh? Not the word, the stuff we send every week. What is that called? Did you guys get it? Am I the only one who gets it and can't remember the name? What is it called? No, it's not Facebook. All right, forget what it's called. Where's Anne when I need her? Huh? The Happening. Yeah, the Happening. Is that what we call it? No, I think we call it Happening. We change the name so many times. Yeah, the Voice. You see, now it's the Happening, it's the Voice. that thing that you get each week, and if you don't get it, we should have your email so you can get it. One of the things I wrote is that everyone has a measure of prosperity. That is how we survive. However, when prosperity is too marginal, we tend to spend our hours in fretful anxiety and waste our lives on our acceptance of a poverty that need not remain our experience. Truly, prosperity is the flow of good in, through, and around our lives. While we may not be able to manifest the good we desire instantly in a tangible form, the time we spend worrying about it may be used more creatively to turn our limited drip of good into a flow of abundant prosperity. You see, we got to turn that limited drip of good, drip, 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 into a flow of abundant prosperity. Prosperity begins when our minds are flooded with unlimited good in all aspects of our lives. Once the flow starts, it will only get better from there. So that is how you focus mentally and emotionally on your prosperity. That is where you begin to make the change. The next step is end the cycle of learned helplessness. You ever feel helpless? You know, sometimes you see kids, they're taught how to be helpless. And as adults, we still remember how to be helpless. The wonderful psychologist, Martin Seligman, he was one of the founders of positive psychology. He's a psychologist. And he did a study that recognized that people learn how to be helpless. And so they continue to be helpless. In the science of mind, we really expect that you begin to nurture that part of you that says, I am in charge of my life. And I can rise above all these difficulties, and I can spread out before me new experiences of goodness, of joy, of prosperity, of helpfulness. I can let go of helplessness now. You do not have to hold on to that. If you know, sometimes when we all get sick, we can feel a little sense of helplessness. But those are the times in which you must call upon the affirmations within yourself to recognize that God has not taken a coffee break. God is not stuck somewhere trying to solve one person's problem. The God of the universe is forever in, through, and around us, right where we are. And whatever the difficulty is, and no matter how it seems as if we can't overcome it, we must remember we are in a relationship. We live in a relational world. And God is that primary relationship. And when we realize that, we know we will have the power to move over what seemed to be learned helplessness. If you find that in some aspect of your life, start working at changing it. Get up and look in the mirror and affirm to yourself, there is something in me that knows what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and where to do it. And that something is not hindered in any way, shape, or form. It is expressing itself in and through me fully. And I'm accepting my freedom to be and to do. You can make up that affirmation yourself. And once you begin to make it up yourself and feel that spiritual aspect of yourself coming, pouring up through you, you sometimes surprise yourself. Where did this come from? But you have it within you. And all you have to do is to turn to it. And as you turn to it, it will turn to you. because it is there to see you through this amazing journey of your life. The fourth thing is to purge jealousies. Well, everybody has looked across to the neighbor's house and see the new car driving in, the German car, the Japanese car, the American car. And you look in your garage and you say, I still have that clunker. Or you see this new furniture driving up, into your neighbor's, they're remodeling again. They got a designer now and they're doing this. Listen, it's not your issue. It's not your problem. We have to stop thinking that our life is about keeping up with the Joneses. And, there was a time when people used to think that the way to be prosperous is that you start to, going out and get yourself an expensive car and do all these things. You get yourself in debt. That's what you're doing. What we want you to understand is how to grow your wealth, not just how to spend it. And when you have to spend it, you spend it. I'm not saying become misers. I'm saying don't just go for the latest whatever it is. Realize that what you have, you can use. It's part of your creativity to use what you have and to start there and be satisfied with it. Jealousy is a liar in consciousness. It tells you that you're not sufficient. It tells you that you're not enough. It tells you that you're not aspiring high enough and you're not achieving as much as you should. It's not a competition between you and somebody. It is an awareness that you can grow out from where you are to where you wish to be. And you must do it in your time, at your pace, the way you do it. And it has nothing to do with keeping up with the Joneses. Jealousy projects a false story that is generally not true. So what do you want to do? Believe in false things? I'm not good enough because I don't have this? No. Do with what you got. Be who you are. Or to go back to my favorite statement, be what you is. Because if you be what you ain't what you is. So, you must realize that the gift that you have is how to turn the water of your potential into the wine of who you can be. That's what Jesus' miracle means when he turned water into wine. So you go up to your water and you can't turn to wine. That's not what the miracle means. It's symbolic of the fact that you have given potential within you, which is the water. And turning that into wine means, how do you turn this potential into the fulfillment that is your life, that is promised as your life, that you have sufficient backup power, which is God's power, to do. I can do all things through God that strengthens me. So clear the negative energy away and embrace the simple things that fill yourself with peace, that allows you to purge that jealousy, and that moves you along that freeway of success. Now let's talk about respect the power of money. Money is simply a byproduct of the hard work and labor you put in. You should not disrespect money, because then you're disrespecting your labor. You're disrespecting who you are, what it is. It is a symbol. Money is nothing in itself. It's a symbol of a freedom that you're attaining by this medium of exchange. Respecting money means you should keep it organized. How many of you really know how much money you have? You say, well, it comes, it goes, I spend here. I rob Peter to pay Paul each month and all that. How many of you ever sat down and make a budget to see what you have and how you should spend it? How many of you actually know what your savings are? How many of you know how much money you have in the house? Last week when we had that lecture, there were many wonderful things said by or lecturer, Dr. What's her name? Diane, Dr. Diane. Glad that one person came to church. Is that Cecile? Anyway, one of the things that she said is that if you have some money in your savings account that you're really not using, it's just kind of sitting there, and you know how much interest money is in the savings account gets. She said one of the things that you might want to do is just put it in a CD. Why? Two reasons. One, it makes a little more interest. And two, you can't get access to it for a certain period. And three, people can't manipulate your account and take it out. And so we said, oh, that makes sense. So we went back and we looked at some money that we had in the savings account, just kind of relaxing on the couch and, drinking Starbucks coffee. And we said, you need to be working a little harder for us. You need to be in a certificate of deposit. And they said, yes. Yeah, we said, yes. You need to look alive and look like you're doing more things for us than you're doing right now. And so we moved it into a CD. It's a simple thing. But, chances are we'll forget it until the time comes for us to say, hey, what do you want to do? And by that time, it has grown in a way that it wouldn't have grown if we just kind of leave it nonchalantly, sitting down, drinking coffee in the couch, doing nothing. That is a small step. But every step that you take to make your wealth grow is a step in the right direction. It's a support to the consciousness that you are affirming within yourself. God is not going to come and throw a pile of money in front of you one day and you say, oh my God, thank you. No, God is throwing opportunities before you every single day. Behold, I put before you these choices. Are you making them? That is what it is that we need to do. So we must make conscious choices about what it is that we're doing with what we already have. We must examine the practices we have, the beliefs that we have, so that we know what it is that we're doing. So we're respecting money, we keep track of it, we're working on a budget, we have goals, we must have plans of how we're going to make it grow. Some of us might want to consult with a financial person, such as the one that came, and they know things you don't know. I don't know. We don't have time to know everything about it. That's why we get somebody who can help us. Because by the time the years pass, and you're just merely thinking about, gee, I should do something with my money, it's time to retire. And what do you got to retire on? Or if you're already retired, what happens when you get that money back that you must take from the government each year? You go out and buy a car? You go out and spend it? No, you might want to see how you can reinvest it. Yes, you have to pay taxes on it, but it's all right. You can pay the taxes. So when money is disrespected, your wealth will atrophy. It's like your wealth is having a disease like cancer. And it will be eaten out. And when you're ready for it, there won't be any wealth for you to use. We don't want that to happen, my friends. You got to respect money. We got to study wealth. That's my next point. We got to study wealth. If a farmer has a field, and he gets up and he blesses the field and he prays for God to help him with something, then he goes away and does nothing. He doesn't plow the field. He doesn't put any seeds in the field. Would you consider him a good farmer? Hello? Would that be a good farmer? Then why do you think that if you sit down there and you pray for prosperity, and you didn't take up a single idea to apply, why do you think you're a good farmer of your wealth? You're sowing your wealth for growth. It's no different from a farmer sowing his seeds for growth. You must understand the science of money. The farmer needs to understand the science of growth of the seeds that he is planting or she's planting. So we must know that God will do God's part. The question is, will you do your part? So we are going to look at people who know something about money. We're going to go out and find out what it is they did. We're going to find out what are the steps in knowing how to make money grow. And we're going to do something about it. When? As soon as you can. As soon as you can. The sooner you start, the better your growth will be. The later you start, the worse your growth will be. So look at what millionaires and people who invest, look at where they invest, how they invest, what they invest. Get an expert that you can trust to help you to do this. My final point here is give money away. We should have enough money at all times to share. Sometimes it might be that you are in the supermarket and somebody looks like they just don't have quite enough money to pay for some grocery, and you can even help out there. Sometimes it's giving money to somebody on the street. But there should be a systematic way, as some of us have in church, where we know, Cecile and I know, how much money we're giving to our church. Yeah, the minister does give. Reverend Larry does give. Yeah, you don't see us putting anything in the thing there, but we do give our money to our church. It's called a tithe. In the old days, the tithe was 10%. We're not insisting that it needs to be 10%, but it should be a definite amount where you realize this is your spiritual base. And so one of the places you need to do your giving is to support your spiritual base. That's why it's so perplexing to me when people come here and they say, oh, where's the choir? Where's the this? Where's that? Where, you know, umpteen people that used to be here. And I say, where have you been? Where have you been? They want everything to remain the same, but they support nothing. I am saying to you that we have a responsibility to support the excellence that this church is. And it really is. You know, whenever I go and speak somewhere, oftentimes they don't hear what you hear here. They don't have somebody who pray like Reverend Larry prays. Yeah, there is something here that is quite rich that we can learn to take for granted. Don't take it for granted. Nothing lasts forever. Don't take what you have for granted. We need to sow together. We need to give. We need to understand giving is part of the law of circulation. Those people who just want to withhold, they will also have their reward. Because you might pile up a lot of money and there's no joy, there's no love, there's no fulfillment of life. My friends, this is what I am challenging you to do this year. I am saying, get prosperous and grow your money. God bless you all. Good morning, founders. Oh, we had a treat already listening to the excerpts read by Reverend Larry Barber. He won't allow me to move the Mount Shake the Tree for him to have the doctorate designation, so, you know, it's his choice, but I'm giving him one anyway. Reverend Larry Barber, that was so marvelous. And then how much that prayer was just equal to the task of Dr. King's words. Thank you, that was beautiful. Yes. You know, sometimes people who come to Founders don't know what treat we have here for them. Anyway, this morning my subject is one that is near and dear to my heart. I'm calling it Principles for Prosperity, but by the time I wrote it this morning, it was 7 Principles for Prosperity. I never know what these talks are going to turn out to be, so, you know, when I give a summary and say what they're going to be and all these things, I have no idea until it happens. And of course, having spent all that time at School of Ministry yesterday, this morning was the D-Day. They said there's that little saying that nothing focuses a man's mind like his impending death. So when you get to a point where you realize, oh my goodness, I got to give a sermon, well, it does focus your mind. So here's what I want you to know. I have never been happy or totally satisfied with the way we in the science of mind approach prosperity. And I've never been happy about it totally, because I want people to understand that there's a consciousness regarding prosperity, but there's also a science regarding prosperity. And that is why we have moved to have these classes or lectures on the first Sunday of the month. I really believe spiritual people need to understand that there's a component that must be provided by each one of us to work with the gift and the grace of God as God pours His inexhaustible energies and inspirations into our lives. And when we think that we can only pray for prosperity and have it, I think we are not taking up our part in the bargain. If you look at the tradition, the spiritual tradition of the Hebrew Bible, which we call the Old Testament, I don't call it the Old Testament, there's nothing old about it. You will notice that there is always a relationship between God and His people. And even though His people is defined within the context of the Bible as the Hebrew people or the Jews, we know that what is true of any people is true of all people. And it doesn't really matter where the inspiration comes. As Ernest Holmes says, we take truth wherever we find it, and we make it our own to the extent that we understand it. And in doing so, we rob no one, because truth belongs to everyone. And so that is the component of God inspiring and us doing. And so there is that two components of science of mind, love and law, which is the presence of God, and the law of God, law in the sense of principles that are unchanging, that are immutable, principles that allow us. These will soon be gone, don't worry about it. I got to be able to see you, right? And perhaps you need to see me. But these principles are there for us to use. The principles are not going to use themselves, except in a cosmic way, where everything is working the way things work. But if we want to specialize in the principles, if we want to use them for our purpose, then we must apply them. We must put them in practice. We must bring about what we call in the science of mind right action. All right, let me tell you what the 7 principles are. Divine abundance is mine now. This is my first guidance for what we're doing. We must find that attitude. The second one is focus on what you have right now. Then the third is end the cycle of learned helplessness. End the cycle of learned helplessness. The fourth is purge jealousies. The fifth is respect the power of money. The sixth is study wealth, which is what we are doing. And I'm hoping that more of you will bring your friends on the first Sunday, particularly when we're doing it. We're doing it through our community outreach. But this is something that I want you to know has been dear to my heart, near to my heart, that I want our people to have. And the final one is give money away. Doesn't sound like how to make money, right? But if you don't have it, you can't give it away. So we're going to tell you something about having it. Divine abundance is mine now. This is where we begin everything that we want to have in our lives, in mind. And if you come to a place where you do not come to an acceptance, where in the morning when you get up, you have a ritual that strengthens what it is that you want to do with your life, then your life will fritter from one day to the next, and they will make no difference. But if you get up in the morning with a ritual that affirms what it is that you're about, that knows what you're about, then the universe is eavesdropping, It's listening to you. It's finding out what it is that you're saying. And suddenly, you begin to find changes. You begin to see things that you never saw before. And they were always there. The difference is, now you're ready to see them. Ernest Holmes gives us a wonderful prayer that I want to share with you right now. He says, today, I expect every good thing to come to me, for I know that divine abundance is forever manifesting itself in my affairs. I am keeping my whole mind and thought and expectation open to new experiences, to happier events, to a more complete self-expression. Everything that belongs to spirit, I accept. Everything partakes in the nature of divine reality, I claim as my own. I identify with success, and I prosper in everything I do. As I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. You see, that is the giving away, which we'll touch upon later. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know that I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence, forever seeking an outlet through me. And he ends with the words, my cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibilities. Can you imagine in the morning you get up and you make an affirmation like that? You'd say a prayer like that. Can you imagine when you begin to embody it, what you feel like? Divine abundance is mine now. Mind doesn't have a time sequence to accept something. The demonstration has a time sequence to unfold in your life. As Ernest said in the reading that you heard by Reverend Larry, is you don't pray for abundance today and then tomorrow it falls in your lap. But more and more, as you become one who is absorbing more of the mental equivalent for what it is that you have believed and you have affirmed, it begins to move into your experience, and your experience begins to activate it by what you are doing. So part of wealth is coming to the realization that you are both a ready and worthy vessel. You are both a ready and a worthy vessel. Now, sometimes we don't feel like we deserve something. Get over it. Get over it. It is not something you have to earn in consciousness, it's something you have to earn in fact. And where we're starting right now is in consciousness. We are clearing the consciousness of all the objections and all the things that are barring our acceptance of something greater than we are experiencing right now. In Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, produce wealth, and so confirms this covenant which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. Your morning ritual should see you coming to a place where you're putting your mind where it belongs. You're putting your mind where it is that you wish to go. You get the mind jumping over the bar and your body will follow. But don't forget, you have to jump too for your body to follow. You have to do something for you to begin to exhibit more wealth. No one is entitled to happiness. No one is entitled to anything besides the life that you have. What we must understand is that everyone has the option to choose where your life is going, and you are exactly where your choices have taken you right now. And if you don't like where your choices have taken you, or if there are some aspects of it you don't like, you still have that ability to choose. And so in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, it says, "This day I call the heavens and earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now, choose life, that you and your children may live." Choose life. The universe has set before you all these possibilities. You heard it echoed in Dr. Holmes's own speech in accepting the Nobel Prize. That he believes in something. That we are going through the furnace that is bringing about this new day.